The week before the school trip, Maplewood High was full of noise. Students talked about snacks, games, and the place they were visiting. The school had planned a one-day trip to the old Maplewood Forest, a place people described as calm and beautiful. No one thought it was dangerous. Most students had only heard funny stories about it, nothing serious. Emily, Jake, Sarah, and Liam were the ones most excited. They had been friends since middle school. Emily liked taking pictures, Jake was always joking. Sarah was quiet but brave, and Liam was the calm one who tried to keep everyone together. Their teacher, Mrs. Johnson, was known for being strict but caring. She reminded them every morning to stick together. "The forest is big," she said. "Stay close. No wandering off. No shortcuts." The morning of the trip, everyone climbed onto the school bus. The sun was bright and the weather felt perfect. The students talked loudly, taking selfies and laughing. Emily sat by the window, pointing at the trees as they entered the countryside. "It looks peaceful," she said. "It looks boring," Jake said, grinning. Liam shook his head. "You'll be the first one screaming if something moves." Sarah smiled but didn't say much. She kept looking outside, watching how the trees grew thicker as the bus drove farther. After 40 minutes, they reached the edge of the forest. The place looked quiet and untouched. Tall trees stood everywhere, and the sunlight barely reached the ground. A narrow path led deeper inside. They all got out of the bus. Mrs. Johnson clapped her hands. "Stay together," she said. "We walk as a group." Everyone nodded. The first hour was fun. The students took pictures, joked around, and enjoyed the cool air. Birds chirped and everything felt normal. But as noon turned into afternoon, the forest slowly changed. The air felt heavier. The wind didn't blow as much. The sunlight started fading behind thick branches. Still, no one worried. They kept walking. Then Mrs. Johnson said, "There's an old cabin ahead. We'll stop there for a break." The word cabin made everyone curious. None of them knew anything about a cabin in the forest. "Is it safe?" Liam asked. "It's just abandoned," Mrs. Johnson said. "Nothing to worry about." They believed her. They shouldn't have. By the time they reached deeper into the forest, the trees stood closer together. Their branches formed long shadows on the ground. The students started feeling uncomfortable, but no one wanted to be the first to say it. Emily slowed her steps. "Does it feel darker to you guys?" she whispered. "It's just the trees," Jake said, "relax." But even he sounded unsure. The path grew narrow. Leaves covered most of the ground and the air smelled damp. Every step they took made a crunching sound. Liam looked around, noticing how silent it had become. No birds, no insects, nothing. Sarah whispered, "Why is it so quiet?" No one answered. Then a howl echoed somewhere in the distance. It wasn't a wolf howl. It was deeper, longer, and rougher. Everyone stopped walking. "What was that?" Emily asked. Mrs. Johnson tried to stay calm. "Probably just the wind," she said. But she looked worried. A few minutes later, they reached a clearing. The cabin stood on the far side. It looked older than they expected. The wood was cracked. The windows were broken. The door hung open slightly as if someone had forced it. "I don't like this," Sarah said. "We'll rest here for a bit," Mrs. Johnson said. "Then we head back." Jake laughed nervously. "Looks like a horror movie set." "Not funny," Emily said. Mrs. Johnson walked closer to the cabin. "It's safe, stay near me." They followed her inside. The moment they stepped through the doorway, a cold air hit them. It was colder than the weather outside. Dust floated everywhere. Old furniture lay broken on the floor. A strong smell of mold filled the air. "Wow, this place is creepy," Jake said, trying to joke again. But no one laughed. Liam looked around. "Feels like someone was here." "You mean recently?" Sarah asked. He nodded. "Yeah, look at the footprints." There were footprints on the dusty floor. Some large, some small, some too long to belong to any human. Emily swallowed hard. "We should leave." Before anyone could move, a loud crash came from one of the rooms. Everyone froze. "What was that?" Jake whispered. Mrs. Johnson steadied herself. "Stay here," she said. "I'll check." "No," Sarah said softly. "Don't go alone." "I'll be fine," Mrs. Johnson said, trying to sound confident, but her voice shook. She walked to the door at the end of the hall. The wooden floor creaked under her steps. She reached for the doorknob. The moment she touched it, the door slammed shut in her face. The students screamed. Mrs. Johnson yanked the door open, but something pushed it back from the inside. "Open it," Emily shouted. Mrs. Johnson tried again, but the door wouldn't move. Suddenly, the door opened by itself. Mrs. Johnson stumbled inside. Then she went silent. "Mrs. Johnson?" Liam called out. No answer. The students waited. 10 long seconds passed. 15, 20. Finally, Mrs. Johnson walked back out. Her face was pale, her eyes wide. "We're leaving," she said quietly. "Right now?" "What did you see?" Sarah asked. "Nothing," Mrs. Johnson said quickly. "Let's go." But her voice trembled. And everyone knew she was lying. By the time the sky turned dark, the students were exhausted. Emily's legs felt heavy. Jake's breathing was uneven. Liam kept looking behind them, expecting the creature to jump at any moment. Mrs. Johnson led the way, but she didn't look confident anymore. She kept whispering to herself. "Left, right. Where's the path?" The forest didn't look the same as before. The path was harder to find. Trees seemed twisted and closer together. The ground felt softer, as if the forest floor wanted to pull them in. Emily slowed down. "Mrs. Johnson, are we lost?" Mrs. Johnson stopped walking. She looked around with wide, confused eyes. "The bus should be close." "I don't understand." Jake rubbed his face. "Great, we're lost. And something is trying to kill us." Liam pointed to the left. "We came from that direction." Mrs. Johnson shook her head. "No, I think it was this way." The ground trembled slightly. A low growl rumbled across the forest. Jake turned pale. "It's here." They ran again, pushing through branches and tall bushes. Their legs were shaking, but fear pushed them forward. Emily tripped again, but this time no one helped her up immediately. She pushed herself up, tears in her eyes. I can't keep running." "You have to," Liam said. "It's coming." They heard fast footsteps behind them. Heavy ones, getting closer. Branches snapped. Trees shook. The creature was almost at their backs. Mrs. Johnson screamed, "Move!" They pushed harder, running in the darkness with no sense of direction. Then Emily saw it. The bus. It stood at the edge of the forest, barely visible through the trees. "There!" she shouted. "The bus!" Jake let out a breath. "We made it." They sprinted toward it. The bus looked old and lonely, but it felt like safety. They climbed inside, slamming the door shut. Jake locked it. They collapsed in the seats, gasping for air. Their clothes were dirty, their faces covered in sweat and fear. For a moment, everything was quiet. Emily looked at the others. "Do you think it followed us?" Mrs. Johnson didn't answer. Then the bus shook. Liam froze. "Did you feel that?" Jake looked out the window. No. The bus shook again, harder. Emily screamed. Something hit the side of the bus, making the whole vehicle tilt slightly. Mrs. Johnson grabbed the back of a seat. "Stay low." The roof dented inward. Then the door creaked. The lock snapped. The door swung open slowly, like someone was pushing it with great force. The moment they stepped out of the cabin, they felt it. The air had changed again, colder, heavier, like something was watching them. "Stay close," Mrs. Johnson said. "Don't stop." They walked fast along the path. No one talked. No one dared to. Emily looked back every few seconds. She felt something moving behind the trees. She couldn't see it, but she felt it. Then came another howl, closer this time. Jake grabbed Emily's arm. "Don't look behind you." "Why?" she whispered. "Just trust me." But she couldn't help it. She turned around. Something stood between the trees. A tall shape, darker than the shadows. She couldn't see its face. She couldn't see its body clearly, but she knew it was watching them. Her breath caught in her throat. "We have to run," she whispered. "We stay together," Mrs. Johnson said. No running. But the creature stepped into the path behind them. Now they could all see it. It was huge, taller than any man. Its arms were long, almost dragging on the ground. Its body was covered in dark, rough fur. Its eyes glowed faintly, almost like embers. It didn't walk. It glided. Silent. Fast. "Run!" Mrs. Johnson finally shouted. The students bolted down the path. Branches scratched their arms as they pushed through. Leaves scattered under their feet. They heard heavy steps behind them. The growls grew louder. Emily tripped and Liam pulled her back up. "Keep going." Sarah was breathing hard. "It's getting closer." Mrs. Johnson turned around, holding her hands out as if trying to protect the students. "Go, don't stop!" The creature roared. The sound shook the ground. Sarah screamed. Liam turned back. "Sarah!" The creature grabbed her. It dragged her off the path and into the darkness of the trees. Her scream echoed through the forest, then cut off suddenly. "No!" Emily cried. Jake pulled her forward. "We can't help her. Run!" Mrs. Johnson's face twisted with fear and guilt. "Keep going." They ran for several minutes, lungs burning, legs shaking. The forest grew darker, the path narrower. Every sound felt like it came from the creature. A snap of a branch, a low growl, a fast movement behind them. The feeling of being hunted grew stronger with each step. They didn't know if they were running the right way. They only knew they had to keep moving. Emily screamed and grabbed Liam's arm. Jake fell back against the seat, shaking so hard he couldn't move. Mrs. Johnson tried to stand between the students and the creature, but she was trembling. The creature filled the doorway. Its eyes glowed faintly. Its breathing was loud and uneven. It stepped forward slowly, each step shaking the bus. Mrs. Johnson whispered, "Stay behind me." But the creature didn't stop. It grabbed Mrs. Johnson first. She didn't even have time to scream. It pulled her out of the bus and into the night. Jake screamed, "We have to run!" "Run where?" Emily shouted. Liam looked around desperately. "The back door!" They ran to the back, but the emergency exit wouldn't open. Liam pushed it with all his strength. Nothing happened. The creature stepped back into the bus. Jake picked up a metal bar left on the floor. He swung it at the creature. It hit the creature's arm, but it didn't even flinch. It grabbed Jake and pulled him off his feet. Jake screamed as the creature dragged him toward the front of the bus. His voice faded quickly. Emily covered her mouth. Tears fell down her cheeks. "We're going to die." Liam tried one more time to open the back door. He kicked it hard again and again. It finally opened a little. "Emily, go!" She crawled toward it, but the creature heard them. It dropped Jake's body and moved toward them. Emily screamed and pushed harder. Liam shoved her through the opening. "Go!" "What about you?" she cried. "I'll distract it. Run." "No, come with..." "Go!" The creature grabbed Liam before he could finish. He pushed Emily out with his last bit of strength. Emily fell outside the bus. She hit the ground, rolled and scrambled to her feet. She ran into the forest, breathless and broken. Behind her, Liam's scream cut through the night. Emily ran without looking back. Her lungs felt like fire. Her legs felt weak, but she kept going. Then she heard footsteps behind her. Heavy ones, louder, closer. She didn't turn around. The forest felt endless. The darkness felt alive. The air grew colder the farther she ran. Her breathing grew weaker. Her steps slowed. She stumbled, fell to her knees, and tried to get back up. But the footsteps stopped right behind her. She felt a cold breath on her neck. Emily closed her eyes. Everything went silent. The next morning, the bus sat alone at the edge of the forest. The seats were empty. The ground around it was disturbed, as if something huge had walked there. The school sent search teams. They found nothing. No students. No teacher. No signs of a struggle. Just the quiet forest standing still, keeping its secret. Maplewood High canceled the trip permanently. But the forest didn't forget. And it never gave the students back.